What is going on, everybody? God's Gunslinger back with another Faction Wars video. This time we're going over another difficult one. They've got receding hairlines. Check. They've got the beer gut. Check. And they've got one beautiful lady to rule them all. You guys know it. You love them. It's Ogryn tribes. Let's get into it. So, one of the biggest things you're probably going to know is that off the bat, it is tough to get this faction through the upper levels of Faction Wars. You've got to deal with a very limited amount of CC, a very limited amount of healing. But we're going to go over some champions that are going to help you push through those middle to upper levels so that you can start getting some better glyphs. Starting off with our boy, Bellower, alright? Everyone who's anyone knows what Bellower does. He hits hard, he lays down some good debuffs, he can lock out enemy skills. He is probably the MVP, I would say, through level 20 for getting you through a lot of these waves. He's going to lower their defense and their attack. He's going to decrease their speed and block their cooldowns. Now, I understand not everyone has Bellower. He is a Void rare. Definitely a better chance at getting him than, say, I don't know, Gurgo, for example. But if you do have him, you're going to want to build him. Throw him in a stun set. Get him fast, around 200 speed, so that he is constantly pumping out those attacks so that he can lay some stuns, and you're going to be golden. Just make sure that you check our Discord for all the masteries. I'll lay it out. We're going to go over all the champions as usual, but we are going to change the format up this time. I'm not going to spend as much time going over my champions, so make sure you go into the description, go down below into the description, join the Discord, join the community, look at all my builds, look at all the team compositions we're running, and you have access to me. So you can ask any questions you want, and I will answer you, and we will get you going. Now, moving on, there's really only one other rare to speak of, and that is Fury Stoker. Fury Stoker, to me, is the MVP of this faction. He is pretty insane, and you probably have never even heard of him. You might have eaten him. You probably don't even have him around, but if you do, you're in luck. Alright, his passive, every time he takes a turn, he's healing your team. He's healing your teammate with the lowest health by 7.5%, and it has a chance to crit. He can actually hit this pretty hard. It's insane. He will keep your team alive better than anyone else, better than lifesteal gear, realistically. And then on his A2, you can add books into this, super easy. We know how common books are from Clan Boss. You can get this up to 40% health, and he will heal whoever is low whenever this is up, 3-turn cooldown for 40% of their health, minus any masteries you put on him to make that hit harder. And he's going to remove debuffs. That's insane. His A1, nothing to really, scoff at. It helps. If you have masteries, you can put War Master on him, but you're in here for the heals. You're going to want to put him in either an incredibly fast set, or you're going to want to split between sustainability, speed, and put him in a nice Relentless set. Relentless is going to pop off. He's going to get extra heals. He's going to lower the cooldown on his remedy so that he can get that big heal out more often. And he is just going to keep your team alive, guys. I mean, he's insane. So, I hope you learned something. Rares aren't always trash. Going into the epics, there are some specific ones that, in my opinion, are going to make you more successful in Ogryn tribes than the others. And that's going to be Man-Eater for his ability to steal turn meter. His Unkillable, especially when paired with another Man-Eater, is super, super clutch. Especially if you're manualing this, you can really keep these synced so that it is almost always up. If you split this right and their speeds are fairly similar and don't get too out of whack because of his siphon ability, you can maintain unkillable up almost 90% of the time. Grush the Mangler I have not been able to use yet, but his kit's great. I mean, if you have him, build him and use him. He's got continuous heal. He brings in... Is this for arena? Yeah, no, it's for faction crypts. So you bring in a defense buff universally, globally, for your entire team with him if you have him in lead. He can decrease attack and decrease crit damage, so your champions are going to take less damage. And then as A1, he can put a leech buff. This is insane. So this is going to help your team heal up even more, especially in later levels. Once you hit 15 and beyond, when those enemy champions have a ton more health, this is going to help significantly. 18% healing whenever they attack the enemy champion. And on top of that, if they have War Master, if they're using Giant Slayer, it's just going to help that much more. So great champion. For damage, you can get Occult Brawler to work. I'm sure many of you know what he does. He places poisons. The poisons are going to do a massive amount of damage. However, he can only do it to one enemy, so keep that in mind, because it's going to really hurt if you don't have, someone that's doing AoE damage for lockdowns. But if you need the damage, build him as tanky as you can. You don't want to build him with attack. You want to build him so that he survives, so he can keep getting those poisons out. It's tough. He has really low base defense for an epic, but he has decent HP. You can split between the two. You can run him with Immortal. You can run him with Lifesteal. He gains Lifesteal off of his, his passive, his A2. He can heal based on how many poisons are on the enemy champion. So that's a great option as well. Do I run him? No. Can you run him? Yes. You can run him up to 16, 17. I've even seen him run up to 21, but it is extremely dependent on your team and who you are running. Now, a mention, I'm just going to give a shout out for these brothers, Towering Titan and Cagebreaker. They do bring some good synergy with each other. One being able to put sleep, the other being able to put a provoke. I think it's Towering Titan that does increased defense and a shield, so that can really, really help sustain some of the damage, especially if you put him, so he attacks 4 times at random, and it has a 50% chance at provoke. You could also try putting him in a provoke set or a stun set to get more CC out of him, or a better chance at provoke if you want to do that. But they're not going to do that great past, maybe level 13. You're going to really struggle with them, and that's if they are leveled up. So keep that in mind when you have these champions. If you're struggling because you have a lack of Ogryn members to fill out your composition, throw them in there, level them up, get their masteries, put them in a tanky set, and let them rock. And make sure that you put them in something that helps with CC, like a stun set, or Cagebreaker you probably want a stun set because he has low defense. Whereas Towering Titan, you could probably put him in stun or taunt or daze, whatever is going to add to your ability to get through those waves safer. Galcut, not great. He throws bombs up, but he's overall just an extremely weak champion. Grimskin can hit hard, and he does do decreased defense and provoke. He also has incredible defense for an epic champion, one of the best defenses, I think, for an epic and Ogryn tribe. But his kit is kind of lacking. If you are looking for a fill spot, he can definitely fill. He can help, taunt the enemy team, balance out your set a little bit so you can get through the waves. But the MVPs here are going to be Maneater, Grush the Mangler, again, new Ogryn tribe champion, Shatterbones, and Skullcrusher. So you should all know what Skullcrusher does. He throws up, counterattack, he puts on ally protection. It's going to be very difficult for you to keep your team alive if he's only at level 50, because he's going to take a lot more damage. However, you could probably keep him at level 50 prior to the second boss, maybe even up to the second boss and below, as those enemies are not going to be hitting quite as hard. So you can build him with a ton of defense, HP, and let his ally protection do the rest of the work while your team gets those counterattacks. Now, Shatterbones is a champion that a lot of people overlook. Honestly, he's I would have called him the MVP over Fury Stoker, but Shatterbones does so much more. He is amazing in Faction Wars, he's great in Dungeons, and he is also excellent in Arena. Just to go over his kit, he places decreased speed on the enemy and fills allies' turn meters by 25%. Insane. His A2 decreases the entire enemy team, their turn meter, by up to 90%. This has a pretty good chance at hitting, guys. I mean, it feels like it hits every time. I know that even booked, it's a 75% chance, but the ability is insane. Especially on the boss, where you have the chance at almost fully depleting the boss's turn meter on a 4-turn cooldown, and it does pretty good damage. I mean, if you're using this arena, prior to the Rotos nerf, I used to use Shatterbones in some compositions to just take out the Rotos. So he can hit really hard with this ability. He can decrease accuracy at the same, or not accuracy, but turn meter at the same time. And then at the same time, he can decrease enemy speed while filling your turn meter. I mean, his kit is insane for Ogryn Tribe, where they are very much lacking turn meter manipulation. Being that Maneater can be very difficult to pull, he's an epic and he's a void. This is an excellent alternative. I hope you have him. Regardless of if you're going to use him in Faction Wars, which you should, definitely level him up. He is insane for Arena, Dungeons, and Faction Wars, and he increases accuracy if you need an accuracy boost by 70. So just amazing for Arena if you really need to get that debuff off. Now, for legendaries, we do have a new one on the board, Dracul the Gaunt. This champion, while most people that I have seen talking about him feel he is underrated, or not underrated, but he is not very strong, I think he is underrated. He has a stun on his A1, which any CC on an A1 is already just very impactful for when your cooldowns are waiting to refresh. The damage is based off HP, which is excellent because he has a really good HP pool, and you can book this for up to a 40% chance to stun. He increases attack and increases defense on your entire team, which, keep in mind, if you have lasting gifts, this can go up to 3 turns, which is amazing for sustainability through increased defense. And then on top of that, he places block damage for 1 turn on any ally that has less than 30% health. So if you're having trouble keeping your team alive, this is a great second wind to getting that champion that is low on health back into the game. And the best thing about this, it's on a 3-turn cooldown if you book him out. That's amazing. A 3-turn cooldown for block damage and increased defense. You could potentially have increased attack and increased defense up at all times with lasting gifts. Finally, his A3, essentially, it's a lot of words. Basically, it puts a shield on your team when the shield expires or the enemy expires the shield through damage. That person, that champion on your team, will get a counterattack against the enemy that depleted that shield, and they are going to heal before any damage is calculated prior to the heal. So shield depletes, heal takes place, and then damage goes through. So that is going to prevent your champion from dying in some cases, especially if it's something small like poisons or HP burn. Sometimes those can be really annoying. And this boss specifically on level 21 actually does both of those. So great kit. I mean, this champion is going to be good. I'm really, really excited to get him and try him out. The jury is out, guys. We don't know how he's going to be. He hasn't been pulled yet. I haven't been able to test him, but I have a pretty strong feeling that he's going to be great for Faction Wars. Shamrock, actually a really good kit. Between turn meter manipulation, revives, and buffs, really good champion. Gerptuck, I'm going to be a little controversial here. A lot of people do not like Gerptuck. They call him trash. Honestly, he's probably a 4 or a 5-star review for me in Faction Wars. He is very beneficial up to level 20. I've tried him on 21, but I could not get him to work with the team that I have. But let's take the Valkyries, for example. You have his A3 that blocks buffs on the enemies. If you put... oh, man, I can't think of the ability. But if you extend this through the accuracy tree, you could have block buffs on the enemy at all times so that they can never shield themselves. Another great example that people have trouble with in this faction is the Auteur stage. I believe it's stage 19, where you have to go against 3 Auteurs and his mate, and whenever you attack Auteur, he puts counterattack up on himself, and when he attacks you, he has a chance at taunting you. So being able to block that ability, block his passive, is extremely valuable for beating that stage. Otherwise, your team is probably going to kill themselves. You cannot stun, you cannot provoke, or you cannot daze the Auteurs. So having the ability to prevent them from counterattacking every time you attack them is extremely strong. And if you do have Skullcrusher, if you're lucky enough to have Skullcrusher, they synergize amazing. Every time you take an AoE attack or Gurptuk takes an attack while under counterattack, he will continue to A1, which will put continuous heal on your team. Now, this has some drawbacks. If you're going against the Valkyries, every time he auto-attacks and those buffs go on your allies, you're going to increase the Valkyries' turn meters, which can do this cyclical event where they continuously get their turn and then just continuously use Stand United on you. However, it's not extremely common, but I have seen it happen when I've been testing it. In short, the synergy between those two champions is insane. Now, my personal favorite here is Ignatius. It might be because I'm jaded, I'm a little bit biased because I do have him and I don't have Biggin and some of the other champions to work with, but he is a defense-based champion. His HP burn cannot be resisted, and it has 100%, it has 100% to land as long as you have enough accuracy and you're not going against like force affinity with this ability because you can get a weak hit. But between his defense increase, his taunt, his A1, which has a pretty good chance at stun, he is an insane champion. Throw him in lifesteal, keep him alive, and he'll do the rest with all his damage. Now, I'm gonna skip over War Mother, guys. I'd be memeing you if you thought that War Mother was going to be doing some serious work here. All right. In the lower levels, yes. Past 13, 14, don't use her. Look, she's an awesome champion. Her bombs do insane damage, and she can, I'm done. We're not talking about War Mother. If you have Biggin, he's an amazing champion. Use him. I would say throw him in a lifesteal set. He has the ability to lower turn meter. He has the ability to stun. He's a great champion. If I was between 2 legendary champions for DPS up to 21, I would shoot for either Ignatius or Biggin for sure. Oh, I should give a shout out to Ogre, a great champion, especially with his rework. He has the ability to place a freeze on champions as a debuff, and then he can also remove 2 random buffs. Most enemies do not have more than 2 buffs on them, maybe Valk stage or something, so this can be amazing for removing buffs if you're not using Gurptuk. He provides a lot of CC, so overall, great champion. The only downside is that he's attack-based, so his defense is going to be considerably lower. You might want to put him in lifesteal, or maybe even like a really high damage immortal set, something like that to keep him alive. So that's pretty much it. I wanted to keep this short. I'm trying out a new format. I do not want to throw my builds in here, as realistically, you can get all of that information on my Discord. I provide builds for all of these champions. I show the compositions and the amount of time it takes me to do them fully auto and getting 3 stars, or making teams that can just full auto, regardless if you want 3 stars or not. So if you're just trying to farm stage 21, you can find all of this down below. just go below, check my Discord, click it, join. You'll have free access to all this information. And if you guys need account takeovers, if you need help in specific areas like Clan Boss, Faction Wars, Arena, you can check out reviews from other viewers, other fans who are a part of the Discord, a part of the community, who have had that service done and had giving, up to this point, glowing feedback. So if you would like me to help you out personally, give you a personal touch on your account, help you succeed in areas you're having trouble with, I'm happy to do it. You can get all this information in my Discord. If you are not subscribed, if you're not hitting that like button, please do it. It helps me out. And that's it. Guys, good luck. I'll see you next time. God's Gunslinger, Cali GG, out.